The House and Senate are now in recess, but before they left town, House Republicans offered their own response to the border crisis, although the process wasn't always pretty. The question is what to do about thousands of children from Central America illegally entering the U.S. After nearly leaving Washington without taking action, the Republican majority approved legislation that spends significantly less than what President Obama has proposed and would make deportations easier. We're joined now by Republican Congressman Sean Duffy of Weston. Congressman, it's good to have you back on the program. And give me a sense of whether you think that the House Republicans have had an adequate response to the border crisis we're seeing today.
Well, the bottom line is it is a crisis, and someone needs to act to fix it, and the House is doing that. I mean, the bottom line is, Mike, we have all of these children that are coming from Central America to the U.S. border, and the journey they're on is horrific. I mean, we're hearing stories of children being raped and abused, maimed, dying in the desert in the Rio Grande. So what we want to do is make sure we send resources to the border to help secure it, put more manpower on the border to help with this crisis, but also quickly process the kids, get them healthy, and get them back home to their families, which is important. And our bill is doing that, and we're the only ones who are acting. What's also important is if we don't start sending the kids back to their moms and dads, this is just the beginning of the crisis. We're going to have wave after wave of children on a very dangerous journey coming to the American border. So we have to do the right thing by the kids, but also to make sure those other parents that are down there aren't sending another wave of their kids to our U.S. border.
I said in the introduction that this hasn't been a pretty process at times, and I'll ask you about what happened in Washington. On Thursday, you guys couldn't take a vote because you didn't have the votes. And at one point, the House Republicans issued a statement. I'm going to read it here, and it says, "There are numerous steps the president can and should be taking right now without the need for congressional action to secure our borders and ensure these children are returned swiftly and safely to their countries." Charles Krauthammer, the Republican or conservative pundit, I should say, said that was ridiculous in terms of being a contradiction, that you folks are suing the president for overstepping his boundaries, and yet you're asking him to do things without Congress. Can you explain how that works?
First of all, to talk about how this bill has worked, Democrats aren't supporting a package that sends money to the border to help take care of these kids and secure the border. So Republicans had to do it on their own, and we didn't have, we were a little short on all Republicans getting there to 218 to pass the bill. But no Democrat supported it. Listen, I disagree a little bit with Charles Krauthammer. The president does have some authority to act without modifying or changing the law. And the lawsuit that you're aware of that the House voted on this last week was to sue the president because what he's done is, in regard to domestic law, he has suspended or waived certain parts of our law. And so just think, we had work requirements in the welfare to work reform of the 1996. He's waived those work requirements and basically rewrote them by regulation. He suspended drug laws so Colorado can sell marijuana. There's a process for this, Mike, and it's through Congress to change the law. But the president can't just decide what laws to enforce and which ones to waive. That's not how it's set up. And so that's the basis of the lawsuit. He does have power without modifying or changing law to still address this crisis on the border.
Are you optimistic this suit is going anywhere? There are a lot of people, legal experts, legal scholars, who believe this is just inevitably going to be a waste of time. Do you think it's going to be a waste of time, merely a campaign talking point? No,
there's smart people on both sides that are talking about its success or its failure. But this is about the House making sure, we carve out our co-equal branch of government. And if the president continues to overstep his bounds, you continue to have a diminished House and Senate, and we cede all this power to this executive. And listen, for me, Mike, in central and northern Wisconsin, I'm one of the only voices they have. And I reflect the values of my constituents better than a president who has to try to reflect the values of the whole country. And if you take my voice away and the president takes it, my constituents are not as well served. And so I'm going to fight back and make sure they have a voice from their two senators and their congressmen fighting for them in Washington.
Congressman Ryan said earlier this week that this talk of impeachment is just something that's not going to happen, that we shouldn't even be talking about this. What's your stand on this back and forth now on the impeachment issue of the president?
I think you hear Democrats and specifically the administration talking about impeachment, Republicans not really at all. This has been a fundraising tool for the Democrats and for the president. He's trying to excite his base going into this next election. But, I mean, Speaker Boehner has said that's not happening. I've said it. Everyone in the party that's in a good leadership position says this is not a good idea. But the president is trying to play politics with impeachment.
Sean Duffy is the congressman from North Central Wisconsin. We appreciate your time. Thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks, Mike.
Do you agree or disagree with the House decision to sue President Obama? Tell us by liking and sharing Upfront on Facebook. Coming up next, why compromise has become a dirty word in politics.